Greetings and welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, as most of you know, because you're all here, Linux Mint should stay. Linux Mint should stay. That is right. We are going to do an apologetic piece for Linux Mint today because some people in the Linux community have said Linux Mint should just go. And we're going to talk about the situation a little bit here today. I'm going to focus on the merits of Linux Mint, although I am going to, we are going to, have some fun comments about the TechRepublic article. No offense to the author because, well, I don't know anything else about what he has done. However, his article is actually just a bunch of garbage, and I'm going to demonstrate why his article is a bunch of garbage by the end of this video. And my apologies, this is going to be a little bit longer of a video, but hey, you know, I had to cover my bases, so let's go ahead and talk about that. Unless you guys think maybe I should split this into the 3 or 4 different segments that I have, let me know. But anyway, let's see who is online today. We have Hugh. How's it going there? I love the title. Yep, absolutely. Snowhound, greetings. The daddy has spoken. Yeah, Joe Collins did a video on this as well. Hunger Guy, save Linux Mint, giving you a thumbs up before even seeing the video. Well, thank you. I appreciate that thumbs up. Wasn't for Mint, I would most likely have thought that Linux was still not ready and would have stayed on Windows 7. Absolutely. In fact, that's the thing. You know, when I was first switching to Linux, Windows was no longer an option, and I hate the Mac UI. And so I'm like, what are my other options? And Ubuntu was acceptable to me, but I saw Linux Mint, it was just like, what? Like, why wasn't I using this before? You know, absolutely. No, the developer's not getting burnt out. They did have a blog post that some people thought they might be a few months back, but he came back and said, no, there's no issues. It's just, you know, just a little bit of discussion, but he's like, I had to report some of the, you know, the back end discussions. So, yeah, so the FairNOS put the link to the article there. It's also in the video description, so you can scroll up there, click on his, or scroll down and click the link down there if you want to follow along with the article. Let's see, isn't low orbit Windows software? Let's see, I don't know. Yeah, Slackware is all we need. That's right, that's right. Use Red Hat 1. Rock solid. Very nice. Hello, Alan Blake. Greetings there. Yay, Mint. Yay, Mint. Article reads just like it was written by Concern Troll. Yeah, we're going to feed the trolls today. So grab your troll food, everybody. Grab your troll food. Hey, I can take feed the trolls. I don't mind. All right. Benjamin Eldridge will stick around until he has to work. Greetings, Tony. Yeah, all right. Hello, Metal Lord. Greetings. Is it Cases Belly? Hello there. Peabody. Greetings. Let's see. Chris Williams, Mint is less different from Ubuntu today than it was 6 years ago. Ubuntu is more out of the box nowadays, but Ubuntu lost stability. Yes, yes. And actually, there was another article on Linux Mint that was out a few weeks ago. I really wanted to comment on it then, and I can't find it now. But he's talking about some of the stability issues. I really think some of the Linux 19 stability issues are because Ubuntu's lost its ever-loving mind and lost some stability. Mostly because they're pulling out core components and trying to cram in snap packages, and it's not working. Snaps are okay for external stuff, but when you start replacing core components, we'll start to have some issues, unfortunately. Calcium MC, greetings. Hello there. Okay, Blue Wonder, greetings from Germany. Well, hello, Germany. How are you guys doing over there? DD said he had a lack of interest in it. Let's see. Yeah, Linux Mint works great on my end. I've had 0 issues with it. Just because it doesn't work for some people doesn't mean you shouldn't get rid of it. And the thing is that footnotes to what our discussion is going to be, I really think a lot of the Linux elitists want to see it go because it works so well. It gets rid of the need to get in there and start tinkering under the hood of your computer like, I don't know what to do. Because these guys don't know what to do with their life if they're not tinkering with a computer. For the love! For the love! Some of us have real work to do. I got another one of those comments on my channel there. You should go get a real job. I got a lot of real jobs. A lot of real jobs. I'll talk about some of those today. Let's see. Loverboy, greetings. Love the title and subject. Thanks for the videos. Love Linux Mint, Ubuntu, Peppermint, and others. Awesome. Very good. Very good. Joe Collins was pissed that this came out. Yes, rightly so. Rightly so. I think Joe Collins is nicer than I'm probably going to be, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay, Mint is a community-driven distro, right? Relies 100% on donations to the community, so the community will decide when it goes. Yeah. And as Collins mentioned in his video, Mint's biggest problem is that they have no idea how to market. And even having no idea how to market, how high-ranked they still are is shockingly amazing. Because it's such a good distro. Greetings, pizza. Pizza, pizza. Okay. Anyone wondering about my view? Come on, FairOS is based on Mint. If I thought it should die, why is it currently FairOS based and has been for a long time? Absolutely. Hello, Rakuzen. Greetings. Do you have enough experience with both Linux Mint 18 and 19 to have formal opinions? Yes. Of the two, I prefer to use 18. However, I do have a virtual machine. We will probably boot into it today. And the virtual machine that I have, is Linux Mint 19.1. I actually use it for a production type virtual machine. I use it for client mail lists, mail merge lists, and things through databasing. And so, yeah, I have experience on both of them. I do prefer 18.3, but 19.1 is just fine. If I were building a brand new system out of the box, I wouldn't really have any quibbles going with 19.1, I don't think. I didn't see a Linux Insiders article. I just saw the one. Greetings, Ricky. How's it going there? Linux 101. Elitists feel threatened by simplicity. They also think Linux distro that lowers the barrier to entry will excuse me. You're writing clearly. I'm just not reading clearly. My apologies, Linux 101. They also think that Linux distro that lowers the barrier of entry to general purpose computing will take away from their cool toy. And I 100% agree with that. I think that's a lot of what the issue happens to be. Steve, greetings. Oh, I am not going to be able to get all these comments in, folks. My apologies. Distro's Safe Place video is passively belittling Joe. Yeah, and I don't think Joe cares. He doesn't care. Joe doesn't care like I don't care. Let's see, Linux Mint, one of the reasons I'll fully switch to Linux at the end of the year. Cinnamon Desktop is the best. Absolutely. Okay. No longer an option because Chromium seems to have conniption fit every time I try to Google the local weather. Like DT's opinion, but Linux Mint. And DT his video had a lot of opinion, but it also had a lot of incorrect fact. And that's an unfortunate thing. I'm going to cover some of the myths. In fact, we're going to cover the myths first. Getting tired of Linux, but I switched to Linux because I got tired of Windows. I guess there's Mac. Don't do it, man. Don't do it. Greetings, Hunter. How's it going there? Okay. Let's see. Love the title. Thank you for showing support for the best distro. Absolutely, no problem. Yes. Okay. All right. The article isn't all kill Linux Mint or anything, but I guess you might. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't have a chance to read it, so I'm not going to pop it open right now. But weeks ago, when he did a video about racism, I want to talk to Linux, not politics. Yeah. VLC is a great. And I understand his video. There's times that what goes on in your personal life does affect your channel, and so I thought the video was. I thought it was a justifiable video to do, I just, like I said, I have a small amount of care for a lot of things that are outside the scope of what I'm doing. So, all right, let's go ahead and dive into the main topic. Thanks everybody for coming along. So, if you're kind of new to my live stream format, I will be releasing a shortened, condensed, edited out version. So we're going to rerun well, I'm not going to rerun the intro, but I'm going to re-intro the video anyway. Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, there's been some discussion among some of the elite Linisty guys about Linux Mint should die. No, Linux Mint should not die. I'm going to talk about why Linux Mint should not die. In fact, a couple weeks ago, I did a video called Why I Am Not a Linux Elitist. And in that video, it was really about why I use a computer to get work done. I don't use a computer because it's my background hobby. And so that's really what we're going to look at. So we're going to look at a few different areas here in the Linux Mint video. We're going to try and keep this as short as possible. I'm probably going to talk faster than usual. My apologies if you're unfamiliar with me. I used to be a college professor, so I can be loud, I can be fast, and I can be long-winded. I'm going to try not to do that. So number one, we're going to look at some of the Linux Mint myths. Number two, we're going to look at why I like Linux Mint. And number three, we're going to look at what I do with Linux Mint. And number four, we're going to give my final conclusion of the article we are going to look into. And so before we dive into the Linux Mint myths, let's talk briefly about this TechRepublic article. So the article, James Sanders, who I don't know anything about his work, he says, Scientific Linux and Antergos are shutting down. It's time for Linux Mint to go. So if you read through the article, and it is linked in the description, he talks about how Linux Mint became so popular. How did it become popular? It responded to user needs. People liked the Windows layout. It wasn't because they're resistant to change. It's because it works. That's why it was a predominating desktop for so long. Linux Mint came out with something that works when there was chaos in the desktop environment. GNOME 2 switched to GNOME 3. People didn't care for the GNOME 3 shell. Ubuntu went to Unity, and Mint's like, people like the old stuff, so let's develop something. Now, there's always Mate and XFCE that duplicate that, but Cinnamon brought a modern UI feel to that old format. And I myself, I know I don't resist change because I hunted around and tried all these different desktops and learned how to use all these different desktops. No matter what, for my main production work, I always go back to a layout just like the old Windows system, which is Cinnamon, Mate, or XFCE, but Cinnamon has the most modern feel, the most modern customization, and that's why I like Cinnamon. So he talks about that. He also talks about the old days of Linux. It was very hard to get things working out of the box, mostly for licenses. And Linux Mint said, we don't care. We're going to do what helps the users out. And so those two factors caused Linux Mint to grow. But now what happens is these guys and some of the Linux elitists are calling for Linux Mint. They're just saying, oh, it's just Ubuntu with Cinnamon. So get rid of Linux Mint, pull Cinnamon out, just make it a distro agnostic desktop environment and call it good. And then all you guys that are working on these Linux Mint things, you guys just go off to work somewhere else because Ubuntu's here to stay. Just go work on Xubuntu instead of Linux Mint XFCE. That's literally what they're saying. They talk briefly about Linux Mint Debian Edition and how Linux Mint Debian Edition is just dead and doesn't have a point. We're actually going to get into all that. So let's go ahead and tackle number one. Let's get into our Linux Mint myths. Number one, Linux Mint is not secure. Joe Collins did a great job of countering this myth. There are a couple of factors here. Number one, the website issue. February 2016, there was a hack on the website and somebody uploaded a malicious copy of one of the ISO images. And if you actually did what they recommend, download the ISO and verify it, you would have seen it, would not have verified, and you would not have used it. For 6 hours, they had a incorrect ISO on their site. They corrected the issue, they fixed the hack issue, and they fixed the ISO within a matter of 6 hours on a Saturday afternoon. Okay? So that's not really an issue. Everything has been hacked, and everything is going to continue to get hacked. Hackers, unfortunately, are part of this world. Now, as far as the operating system itself, is it secure? Absolutely. There was a time, again, Collins mentioned this in his video, there was a time when updating a kernel could completely destroy your system, and so Linux Mint held back kernel updates. They gave you a tool that you could update the kernel when you're ready, and it was separate from the update path. So you could actually manage the kernels, you could do it, but by default, it kept the same kernels so that the system would not come crashing down. And so they focused on their philosophy, which is simplicity and streamlined rather than the absolute latest packages. So Linux Mint is secure. And by the way, the latest versions of Linux Mint, those are all completely resolved. Every one of those are completely resolved. They get the same kernel updates because updating your kernel is less dangerous now than it was. Nobody has informed me of that because I'm still running like 4.15 or something on this computer. Oh well. Let's look at myth number two. Linux Mint Debian Edition is dead. Doesn't serve a purpose. That is completely not correct. In fact, right now I'm running Arch on my backup system, and which is my media PC. Prior to running Arch, I was running Linux Mint Debian Edition when it was just released a few months ago. It's actually just been released because it follows Debian stable. And because it follows Debian stable, it upgrades about the time Debian stable does. Now, that doesn't mean it's just all old and crusty. It means that it is rock solid stable and gets all the security patches. As soon as there's a security vulnerability, it gets that security vulnerability. Linux Mint Debian Edition. So what is it and why is it? Linux Mint Debian Edition is because Linux Mint team, because they're cognizant of their users, looks at the direction Ubuntu is going and says, they may not always be viable, we need a backup plan. Linux Mint Debian Edition is that backup plan. If Ubuntu, and by the way, it's not, is Ubuntu going to die? It's, what if Ubuntu goes full on corporate Microsoft owned, which some people have hypothesized is a direction they could possibly be going. If that's what happens, Linux Mint team will say, put more time in the Linux Mint Debian edition. Because there's things that Ubuntu has been doing lately the Linux team does not agree to and have pulled the system out, such as fingerprinting your system on install, the data collection, the popularity contest installed on default. These are things the Linux Mint team has not done. Linux Mint Debian Edition is their way of going back and having a look at what happens if Ubuntu, our core base, is not viable. They have a stepping stone. You take any other distribution basing on Ubuntu, they are either going to have to go the way of Ubuntu or die. Linux Mint Debian Edition is their way of having a backup plan. That's called forethought. Number 3, this is something that was mentioned in one video. Linux Mint Debian Edition stole from Banshee. Yeah, I looked into this. What ended up happening is there is a donate button, and Ubuntu at one point in time changed the affiliate link so that if you used the support button through Banshee, the royalty share would be split. And Linux Mint attempted to do the same thing, and they goofed up the code. They broke their affiliate link and kept, they broke the Banshee affiliate link, which goes up to the GNOME project, and kept theirs. They racked up an amazing, massive total of $3.41. And when the issue was discovered, they gave it back, or at least they offered to give it back. Why bring that up? Because you don't like Linux Mint. I don't know. All right. Number 4 myth. You can't support any other desktop. That is incorrect. I actually have videos about how to put KDE on modern Linux Mint 19. I have videos about how to put KDE and Budgie. Now, I think I did Budgie also on Linux Mint 19. I have videos on how to put KDE on Linux Mint Debian Edition and upgrade the kernel to kernel 5. All right. You can do all this kind of stuff because it's based on Debian. Anything you can do in Debian, you can do in Linux Mint Debian Edition. Anything you can do in Debian, you can do in Ubuntu for the most part. There's a few little odds and ends. Are they not? They're not officially supported. The reason they're not officially supported, the reason KDE was dropped from an official distribution is because Linux Mint has a philosophy, simple and streamlined. KDE removed the ability to be streamlined. We didn't have the ability to have everything working together. KDE messed under the hood too much. You can still put it on. You can still run it. I have a Linux Mint 18.3 KDE system running in full production. It's just fine. All right. But the fact is, you can support other desktops. So those are our 4 myths. Linux Mint Secure, Linux Mint Debian Edition, Linux Mint Stole, and Linux Mint can't support other desktops. Those are all handled. They're all done. You can install them. You can fix those. Those are not issues. Now, why do I personally choose to use Linux Mint? Well, because of, it has to do, I'm going to turn on a virtual machine, so my desktop audio is going to beep there for a second. My apologies. Actually, I'm just going to turn it down. There we go. So the reason I like Linux Mint, and when I first was looking for the best viable options for installing Linux on my system, what I wanted to do is I wanted to see how could I get the best similar workflow to what I already had. Well, very simply, Linux Mint is what did it. And so the reason I like Linux Mint is because with Linux Mint, I get a system that is very up to date, very modern, but has all the old UI elements that I liked. In fact, the only thing that the default has is the show desktop is over here instead of at the very corner down there, but we can actually easily change that just by, dragging that over there. Let's go ahead and fix that. There we go. Now my system is set up just like an old school Windows. Now, in the TechRepublic article where they talked about, they talked in that TechRepublic article and they said, hey, listen, Linux Mint, they were good with the codecs, they were good with keeping the UI, but they don't have anything, they don't bring anything to the table anymore. I completely beg to differ, because in Cinnamon 4, which is what this version of Linux Mint is running, they even changed this layout. I don't like this layout as much, but this is the layout that you get on a modern computer system, where these are, these guys over here, they're not the same type of pinned applications as they were before. They are they're like pinned, not quick launchers. And I don't like quick launchers. I like pinned stuff personally. But regardless, the way the layout, the system works is exactly what I wanted in a system. And so for me, it resembles Windows, and the resembling Windows is exactly what I wanted. Because after experimenting with a variety of different desktops, I found that this is the one that worked best for me. All right, now next is we have the modern UI elements. We have the modern looks. Of course, we have transparency. This thing is very, very beautiful. It looks modern while having the modern functionality. But we also have things for those that are inclined to use it. We have things like online accounts. And I think I have my Nextcloud test user on the online account up here. So, we have online accounts. We have the ability to sync all this stuff up. And when you connect an online account to this, in my case, I'm using Nextcloud. You can do Google or these other ones. This will actually integrate all of your applications together. And so if I got to go back a month or two, I think we have to go back 2 months. Everything that's on my cloud calendar completely syncs with the desktop. It has all these modern UI elements that are very good. Now, the thing that, one of the things Joe Collins mentioned in his video is the thing that a lot of people misunderstand about Linux Mint. Linux Mint isn't just Ubuntu with Cinnamon. Linux Mint works hard to make sure everything works out of the box. Everything is unified. Something you don't get inside of Ubuntu necessarily. You can, and it's getting better. But what we find is the pre-installed tools allow you to do about anything, from formatting USB drives, writing ISO images out of the box, to we have Redshift to get rid of your blue light if you are so inclined to do that. We have the time shift system, which is for making a system restore points. We have a backup system, which is similar to Ubuntu's backup system. We just have a variety of different tools. On top of that, we have a unified look. There are custom readers for the image viewers, for the media players, all of these things that have a single unified feel. The same type of thing Elementary also does, a single unified field among the basic things that you might need to do out of the box with your system. So that is why I prefer Linux Mint. It has a similar user layout, a similar feel to what people want. And it has everything that works well and fine. And the thing about Linux Mint is it has a specific philosophy. It's guided by its philosophy of simplicity and streamlined. Simplicity and streamlined. It wants a system that is simple. It wants a system that is streamlined, that works out of the box. Hands down. And that's what they do. And that's what they do well. So why is it that a lot of people don't like it? In my opinion, it's because there's a lot of Linux elitists out there who they only want to have a system, and they want to get this big toy system. They want to see what their system can do. And they spend all the time getting some hard distro working on it, and then they do a few fun things with it, and then they wipe the thing out and do it again. The reality is, though, is that there are people in this world who have real things that we need to accomplish. Okay, I'm a web developer and an author. I have a stack of books here that are all completely written and produced, ebooks, print books, audiobooks, completely written and produced in Linux. I don't have time to mess with a broken system. I don't have time to figure out why the latest rolling update crashed my system. I don't have time to reinstall everything. I need a system that's going to boot up, it's going to work, it's going to be consistent, it's going to be coherent, and everything I need to do is going to work, because some of us actually do have real jobs. It's really funny that the people tell us to go get real jobs, recognize that yes, this is actually part of my real job. This channel is actually wrapped into my publishing company, in fact. And so with that, my task on this channel isn't to make Linux just out of reach for the common person. It's to bring Linux within reach to the common person. So what are the types of things that I do on Linux? Well, one of the projects that I have been working on in the recent days here is I have a new book coming out, and this book here, this is the book cover done in Blender. All right, so if I had to get this Blender copy working inside of a system that's constantly crashing, I would never have gotten this thing done. By the way, this entire book cabin is entirely set inside of a log cabin. But literally, this is what I had to do to build a book cover. This is about 30 to 40 or 50, I don't know how many hours of work putting this thing together inside of Blender. Because I needed to have a system that works perfectly fine. And I got the system working the way I need it to work without tinkering with it, without things breaking. I'm also right now working on audiobooks. So I have Audacity going, Kid 3 going. I have all these things going in the background. I'm doing real work on Linux. As far as web design, FileZilla, Bluefish. This isn't a web design computer. I do have one of those set up. So those are some of the things that I'm doing on Linux. It's not to figure out how to get Linux working on everything. It's to figure out how to get my work done on Linux. And that is far more important than trying to figure out how to get something going. Far more important. So going back to our original article here, looking at this TechRepublic article, his basic approach here is he wanted to come in and just say Linux Mint doesn't have any purpose. I mean, Scientific Linux and Antergos are shutting down. Why are they shutting down? Well, Scientific Linux I don't know as much about, but this was part of the Red Hat type family Linuxes. They were, Red Hat, of course, I think brought on CentOS. My apologies if I don't have all this history correct. I don't follow this branch of Linux. And then, of course, IBM bought Red Hat. And so Scientific Linux didn't really have much of a purpose because CentOS was wrapped up into all this kind of stuff. Antergos, it shut down just because, my apologies if you don't like this, it really wasn't all that useful. Okay, the people that loved it. And if you got it installed, it was great. But this was the first time I remember seeing a Big Daddy Linux challenge where half the people came back and said, I couldn't get it installed. When your Linux guys can't get it installed, we got to go back to the drawing board. And, it was a very small development team. They had other priorities. They shut themselves down. But this article here, the guy talks about how Linux Mint has gone back and they set themselves apart in a few different ways. But now they say this says there's no way to set themselves apart, but they always are. They're always setting themselves apart by always having a backup plan with Linux Mint Debian Edition. They're setting themselves apart by keeping Cinnamon updated to mirror that Windows-like feel so that Windows users always and perpetually feel more comfortable coming down. So what's his final take? His final take is that Linux should shut down. All the people working on those special projects should go work on the Ubuntu versions of those projects. And then Cinnamon should just become agnostic. In other words, what this author wants to do is this guy's like a bully on the schoolyard. Bully comes up to the guy and says, give me all your money. Go away now. We want all the stuff that you brought to Linux that's good. Now go away. That's what his approach is. And it's bad and it's wrong and it's arrogant because Linux Mint is a great distribution and it has remained being a great distribution and it will remain being a great distribution. Don't steal its cinnamon like the bully on the schoolyard, but you're going to find the Linux Mint support is far bigger than your little bullies, so go away. You're welcome to borrow our lunch money cinnamon if you want. You can install it already on a lot of different distributions. No problem at all. But we're going to hold on to the rest of our money. Thank you very much. All right. So now I will respond to comments, and I'm pretty sure I will not be able to get to all of these. My apologies, guys. I try and get to all my comments, but we have, I think this is probably the biggest live stream I've had. Thank you guys for support coming along. Yeah, you can sub to the channel, check out the links in the description down below, all the different things that I do. If you are into books and stuff, I am a Christian author. It may or may not be your thing or not, but if you are interested in that, you can actually check my channel homepage. My Christian channel is linked on there as well. You can go check me out over there, and I'll have all the book stuff over there. All right. Okay. Mint is still relevant and great. Absolutely. Recent Windows crashed upon updating. Finally made the plunge into Linux gaming. It's been good so far. Very cool. Trying to be like Luke Smith. Yeah. Good luck. I think I'm closer to Luke Smith. Random topics. Often encroaching Linux. I don't know. I'm not trying, though. I don't. Before anyone gets a Mac, you should watch Louis Rossman's channel. I agree. Yeah. I have a Mac, but I'm a web developer. I'm going to need to have systems up and running. Mac is okay, but I don't like the UI. I just can't get over the UI. Joe carries. He really reacted on emotion rather than intellect. If you didn't see that you're blinded by your love for Mint, the man is talking about his family and everything. It got personal. And actually, no, I think he reacted on both. I think he reacted on both emotion and intellect. Earlier, different article might possibly be article last. Okay, listens and nods. All right. Back 2015, they used it, so I think they fixed most of the issues I was having. All right. Mint was the boss of Ubuntu is looking like it's a sellout distro. Mint is why the boss of Ubuntu is looking to sell his distro. It's possible. I always keep a USB drive with Mint on, just in case. Yep. Uh-oh. There's anime fans in the chat. All right. He attacked the person rather than the ideology. Who attacked? No. Collins? No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Not at all. Really like Linux Mint, but it always has issues with my LAN. It's unable to connect my NAS while any Ubuntu flavor. Huh, that's interesting. Hello, Ubuntu. Greetings. Using Mint 19.1 Cinnamon. Just works. Yep. Why should it die? I don't know. Because you're a bully and you want to steal their good works. I'm with Linux since the 90s. Nowadays, I'm mostly on Arch and Debian, but I love Mint. Love Mint for what it does. Brings people to Linux and it's free software. Yep. Joe specifically said he was disagreeing with an idea and it was not at all attacking the person that had it. Gotta go to work. All right, man. We'll see you later, Benjamin. How's a good one? Off topic. Yeah, okay. I'm going to switch to Manjaro soon. A few others are dying, so people are trying to throw Mint in the same grave. Yeah, they're trying. They're going to find that it's not. Tom, the auctioneer, high-speed dubbing. Woo! Linux Mint is a great introduction for Linux average users. Elementary is great for computer illiterate older parents or a child. Hello, Cookie. Download it. Haven't set up in a VirtualBox yet for test drive. All right. Now, Linux Mint isn't going anywhere. On Manjaro, most of the time I recommend Mint to beginners and or people who just need a Linux system that works right out of the box. It's definitely nice for its rolling KDE approach, but lacks some Ubuntu features like friendly recovery and so on. Go to yes again. Could you quickly remind me of a specific version build of Fedora? Someone is looking to use Fedora for the very first time. By all means, please save me from my end. The latest version is 30, and I would recommend it. The Fedora's been getting really good lately. Try the Cinnamon edition. Actually, like I'm running Cinnamon on my Arch system right now. It does not work nearly as well as Cinnamon does on Mint. Cinnamon on Fedora, I didn't play with it long term, but it seems to work just about as good as Mint. I don't know 100% for sure, but I remember it being really good when I experimented with it. Periodically copying my Linux OS disks to several identical hard drives, one of those disks duplicator thingies. That's my backup strategy. There you go. That's a good one. I too must have nostalgia. I prefer the classic Windows layout. Yeah, and I experimented with so many different ones just to see if there was something better. Couldn't find it. No recovery, one restore issues. Just get it. XFCE since its release in 96. Linux Mint got me to leave Microsoft. Woo! Praise God. All right, Linux Mint is great. It was the first distro I fell in love with, but sadly didn't use it for long. I soon switched to Solus. All right, Solus is not bad. Linux Mint Demi Edition is great. Used that for a while. Linux Mint is way better than Ubuntu in my opinion. I agree. I completely agree. XFCE solid weight. Okay. Number of games. 1s and 0s mostly. Mint Debian Edition is basically for testing and figuring out how things would work if they switch to Debian, isn't it? That's a full production. Mint developers fix the problem faster than Mozilla. I get the whole point of security, but yikes, Clem had his fair share of not fixing some potentially exploit vectors in Mint stuff, like the Mint sources package. You always had the option. You always had the option. They just didn't do it automatically, so it didn't break the system. Flavor of Ubuntu's. If you want a Linux Mint type, it's there. Actually, Ubuntu doesn't have a cinnamon flavor. Not secure, but yes, it's Linux. You're responsible for security of your system, not the system. If you can't secure your system, the system doesn't matter. You suck, and that's not Mint's fault. I agree. Downgrader dropping you to root shell once the package downgrades. Command is finished. Let's use a version of Linux called Netrunner. It's like Mint, but for me, it looks nicer. There you go. I think I've looked at Netrunner before. Customize it so much I made it mine, and now it's gone. I must say it makes me a little sad. Mint comes with all the codecs you need. For example, it's an easy out-of-the-box experience, which Ubuntu isn't. They're getting closer. So exactly what are you doing when you verify the ISO? What is the best way to do so? And yes, okay. All right, so, all right. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at that real quick. Okay, Linux Mint. All right, so if you go to their main page and you go and you download the ISO, all right, so I should already have one of these downloaded. Let me check my downloads folder, so I don't want to download it again. Okay. What do I have here? There you go. Okay, I have Linux Mint 19.1 Cinnamon. So I already have the Linux Mint 19.1 Cinnamon. Now, it might be a different one. I'm not sure. So if I were to come over here and grab this, and then there's the verify ISO. Here's 19.1. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to check this checksum. Now, this is kind of the easier way to do this. So let's go ahead and go to my desktop view with a, well, I don't want the camera on it. Desktop view without the camera. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a terminal, which on Linux Mint you can do Control Alt and T to pull up a terminal. And let's go to our downloads folder. And what I have in my downloads folder is I have a Linux Mint Cinnamon 1604 ISO. You can see it's up here at the top of the screen. Boy, let's see. Is it checksum? I'm forgetting my command now. I think it's somebody's going to help me with this. I think it's sum 256. Oh man, I'm forgetting. Let's back up and have a look at this. Basically, you're doing a checksum. I think it's checksum. Let's see if somebody's giving me the thing down there. I only verify my ISOs when I'm going to run them on my system. The easiest way to do it is just, I think it's, I think it's check. I don't know. Let's see if I can figure it out. I'm not remembering off the top. Okay, let me just go ahead and double check. Let's go back to my main screen until I remember this again. I think it's check 256 sum. I think check 256 sum. Verify. There's so many options, and that's the problem. That's it. That's it. SHA's 256 sum. Thank you. Thank you very much, Farron. All right. That was it. All right. Go back up to this. We're going to go back to that list again. SHA sum. It's the SHA is the type of checksum you're doing, 256, and then we're going to do the Linux Mint. We're going to do 19.1 Cinnamon, and that's going to spit out a number. And then all we're going to do is we're going to compare the number that spits out to this number up here. So you can see this is the number we should be comparing it to. And what you can see is that those two numbers are actually different. And the reason is going to be because I downloaded mine a long time ago. So the checksums would have changed because of that. So if you run this SHA 256 sum on the ISO, it spits out a number that's different than the number on this page. Don't use the thing. So I would not want to use this thing right now because I can't verify that it worked. Although I did verify it when I downloaded it the first time. So that's kind of how you're doing that. And there are about 15,000 other ways. If you're on a Windows system and you're downloading it, there is an application you can install called Hashtab. Download Hashtab and it adds right-click, file properties, Hashtab, and then you can do the sum for that. All right. Okay, and I'm not gonna be able to figure out where I was. Okay. Okay, ISO is verified. Half-blind 80-year-old mom loves Mint installed over Windows virus. Now she can play her Steam and Facebook games without problems. I really, like next time I go to my mother's house, if she has me look at her computer one more time, I'm going to wipe the thing and install Peppermint on it. That's what I'm going to do. Peppermint because her computer sucks. Okay. And Peppermint's better for that type of computer. All right. Cinnamon theme is that. I don't remember. I actually mentioned it on a. If you check my Cinnamon configuring your Cinnamon desktop, I actually identify the theme in that one. I forget what it is. Want to run anything Arch, run Arch. If you want to do anything Debian, run Debian. Yeah, there's reasons to run other things, but Mint is everything Ubuntu should be. Yep. Said, like pinned, not quick launchers. You're contradicting yourself there. No, I'm not, Farron. There is a radical difference between quick launchers and pinned. All right. I do not like pinned. I do like quick launchers. Or maybe I said that wrong. But yeah, no, I hate pinning applications. Pinning applications fills me with raging and loathsomeness. Quick launchers is what I prefer. So yes, maybe I said it wrong. My apologies. I read your comment wrong. Mint is what got me into Linux. Tried several distros. Concluded that it's the best out-of-the-box experience, especially for users migrating from Windows. Absolutely. Danny's very nice. I prefer it much over Ubuntu. That was entirely offline because it feels like I'm running a universal distro. Hey, come on, man. Debian is what they run on the space station, guys. How can you go wrong with that? I mean, the Debian guys can confirm the Earth is not flat. I mean, really. Issues with Manjaro. Started using it months ago. Having issues with NVIDIA GPU. Long live Linux Mint. That's right. So now hearing about folks in the Linux community starting to really take shots at Mint. What happened to this community? What is going on? It's full of a bunch of elitists who they just use this stuff. It's like, dude, like and this is an interesting thing. And part of the Linux community wants to talk about, we need a national desktop. We need a national desktop on the one hand. On the other hand, some people don't want there to be a national desktop because they want the obscurity. I'm somewhere in between. I don't necessarily want obscurity, but I'm not sure I want a national desktop because the national desktop means that it's going to start becoming like Windows and Mac. And that to me could be a problem. But what we do need is maybe we need a couple of the distros to team together to come up with something that can easily go OEM on a machine and that machine can be bought at Best Buy. If I go into Best Buy and I can see Linux as an option and I can play with it on the shelf, I'm more inclined to buy it. That's the thing. But for whatever reason, like I said in this video, a lot of people are they just don't like easy barriers and easy entrances into Linux. And it doesn't make sense to me because I use Linux to do work. I don't use Linux to tinker with a computer. I do Linux to work. DistroHop went back to Manjaro, no longer have my Wi-Fi driver. Yeah, and Manjaro did some weird update things not long ago, too, from what I've understood. Side note, when you are as horrendously ugly as myself, you tend to avoid going out in public unless you need to. Tinkering around down the labs in one way to introvert hobby. I don't think you're that ugly, though, are you? I mean, come on. All right. I had to quit due to the new system update. Screwed up the system. Yep. Mint picked up where Mandrake left off. Either way. Ease of use and user-friendly. How does one hate on that? It's really getting some buzz. They probably made a nice amount of money off this one. Oh, probably. Probably. Today, the 1st of June, marks the start of my 2nd year using Linux. Very cool. Very cool. Taking a web development course on Skillshare. Very cool, Pizza. Awesome. Amiga OS, not developed for a change after 30 years. There you go. People need to get work done. This is something Microsoft seems to be completely oblivious to. That's driving me to Linux. Yeah, they're getting worse. Microsoft is getting worse. I can't get my work done. The stupid system wants to update. Like last time I had to boot into my virtual machine for Windows 10 I just need to get something done for a client over in a Windows 10 machine. I was like, all right, time to shut the machine down. Had to shut my system down. 2 options. Install updates or install updates then shut down. Really, Windows? Really? Really? How about shut the computer down? Maybe I'll come back at 3 in the morning and turn it on so you're not interfering with my workflow. But no, you know. I used Mint throughout my college career and have a master's degree, and that's what gotten by using Linux Mint. Published articles, gave presentations, all in Mint. Very cool, very cool. Yeah, it was funny too. It was about a couple years ago, I was doing a presentation at a local chamber of commerce, and it was funny because there were 3 people doing presentations that day. One of us had a Mac, and one of us had a Windows, and I had Linux Mint. Windows guy comes in, plugs in the system into the projector, had to tinker with the thing for a good 10 minutes to get the screen how he wanted it set up. Projector on the presentation, you know, his presentation notes on his screen. Took him forever. Mac guy gets up, plugs in the same stuff, same thing, took him forever. I get up, do my presentation, plugged in, works. And I'm like, yeah, Linux, yo. My rolling Arch, but I'm automated backups freak. I can roll my entire Arch system in less than 5 minutes. Nice. Linux course around here, but it doesn't exist. What's wrong with folks just using whatever they wanted and being happy? Yep. Apple, Mac, Windows OSs are kind of like Walmart selling big, expensive, fancy Star Trek and Star Wars action figures playsets. Linux is like the dumping bucket of Legos and building your own. Yep. All right. Recently used Mint to get online certification exam. Windows just wouldn't work. I'd hate to see it go away. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, Paul, here on YouTube, it's called Linux Power. Yeah. Blender 2.8 is even more amazing. Yeah, that's I think I'm running 2.7.6. I think is what on that. But most people who tell me they've tried Linux always tell me they just don't have the patience. But we all know when you're willing to put the work in, Legos are more about the long run. Yeah. If duplication of effort and redundancy were a bad thing, not a single distro would exist, rather with any open source project. Yep. Legends say that to the months after the stream, the buffering on the video, the article on the stream right now never stopped buffering. Yeah, well, that also could just be my network because my network blocks a lot of stuff. Never seen Mint install break on anything. Mint is solid and hassle-free. Highly recommend it for simple out-of-the-box Linux experience. Yeah. Didn't even have 100% working installer. That's the problem. Yep. Whole point of playing with Legos is to break the thing. Yep. Antergos must go simply because of the installer. Linux Mint? No. That's right. Antergon. Scientific Linux Mint. There you go. Linux Mint is the most stable and elegant OS I've ever had. Yep. Yep. TechRepublic fishing for toxic arch nerds. Operating systems aren't my hobby, so Mint works perfect. Yep. Guy who's bullying people is gonna get beat up eventually once they start messing with the wrong people. Huh? You're done making your system, just install Mint. That's what I did. I use Arch. Fanboys here? Hey, I got Arch in this system. Spin Cinemas is best for YouTube production machines. I agree. Yeah. DT got many haters. He's a good person, I believe. This time, maybe he said something wrong. Huh? Seems to me like Linux Mint is under attack because they're actually doing what is right and best for the user, which is something Ubuntu's not necessarily doing. How do you pull core components out of your system, replace it with snap packages? That's not good for the user. Plus, Luke Smith is like trying to be close to Terry A. Davis. I'm not sure you really want this. Enlightenment users here. I liked Enlightenment. I ran Enlightenment on OpenSUSE when it supported it a long time back. It's becoming what Linux needs to be, and people hate it. Yeah. Just donated to Linux Project. Very good. Very cool. Said everyone wants a big, massive, all-inclusive toy set that is ready to roll out of the box, but don't realize the true Lego-esque esoteric potential. Mint doesn't forget your computer's Wi-Fi card after an update. True that. Speaking of Christian writing, I got a religious question for you. The Bible says in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. How many heavens did he create? I don't know. We can guess that that's, relating to the stars, but I don't know. Now, will Linux be compatible with new OS for Huawei? I don't know. Let's go back to that God question for a second. I'm an enthusiast of Linux and use computers in my spare time. Mint is honestly the best in terms of support. Yep. Search and installed many distros on a system when Mandriva went kaput, and I landed on Mint because it does what I need and it works for my family. Use Void Linux, by the way. All right. I got to go back and do some Void tests on real hardware. The Void guys, after the last Void video, indicated that the version of VirtualBox I'm using may not be compatible. New Jerusalem, one of the several heavens. No. New Jerusalem was created later. We have two different thoughts. Linux elitists want Linux to rule the world. Distro elitists wants... Well, and this is the thing. The Linux elitists apparently don't want Linux to rule the world because if they did, they'd get behind Linux Mint, who does it best. Go figure. Northern anime fans must have gotten lost and wandered off from the tour. That's all right. All right. If Linux Mint went down, they'd lose people who could potentially become full Linux enthusiasts. Yeah. Mint devs deserve credit for their continued work. Type of article isn't constructive. Yep. Great entry point for people who have a great work. Linux Mint is my favorite distro. Puppy Linux update video. Installed Mint on my old Acer 2909, which was semi-crawling on Windows 7. Mint gave it a new breath of life. I could probably just opted for a brand new 2019 cheap laptop. Yeah. But why when Mint works perfectly? Is Mint going to die? No. What's going on now? Oh, just a bunch of crazy people. Anyone tried Cinnamon on Pop? No, I've not. Greetings, James Miller. How are you? How would one back up a 4 terabyte drive periodically? I'd use some type of rsync script on a cron job. Now on YouTube in past 48 hours, you can probably guess. Let's move my client over to Linux Mint, but what's up? How's it going there? Oh, just some Linux elitists calling for the death of Linux Mint because it actually works, you know. So I switched to Linux from Windows because of the war with my Huawei and go open source. I mean, I don't know your exact situation, but right now, if you have something that works, it's going to continue working. You will stop getting security updates if you're in the United States or probably a Five Eyes country would be my guess, as Huawei's already been banned in Australia, and I think UK is thinking about doing the same as well. But I don't know your whole situation. If Windows is working for you and you don't have a reason to change, then, you know, stick with it for a while. But definitely experiment with Linux Mint and see if it will replace what you're doing. Definitely worth looking into. So you're looking mostly for condensed version of Linux PCOS. It's kind of like Mint, but less bloated. And Fedora always comes up. I would do Peppermint. If you're looking for something like that, do Peppermint. It's basically like it's the Linux answer to Chromebooks. I have several videos on it. To reply to the guy's article with, what's next? Let's get rid of all new users. Actually, I think somebody in the comment thread said it well. You know, I mean, you know, big grocery stores are dying. Let's get rid of Amazon now too, you know. Mint works great with old Sound Blaster cards. Nice. Really? That's cool. Panel on the top and panel on the bottom, yeah. Good thing about, you know, you could set that up, particularly Linux Mint Mate, you could do that. Working on articles for Psychology World to move Linux Mint for securing client data and moving from Windows. Mint is the only one that I can use for that process, yeah. Actually, about the time frame, I've been working a lot, barely touched YouTube last night before. All right, STS, TechRepublic released an article calling for the death of Linux Mint. DT jumped on it, did a video about it, and actually a follow-up video as well because of the hate he received. And Joe Collins did a video about it. So I'm drawing the lines. I'm standing next to Joe Collins, drawing his line. You know. No, it's not about getting mad at anybody. It's just I want to do an apologetic video for why Linux Mint is good. Downloaded all the Mint ISOs in case someone sends an assassin to whack on the dev's head. Mint is great and uses the best parts of Ubuntu while not doing anti-free software stuff like integrating Amazon shopping widgets. Not to mention the Snap stuff. I've installed Codex in years. Yep. Visual side of live demo for those arrested with arrested development. Same, haven't installed Codex forever. Yeah, VLC and, you know, pulls them in. So came to say hello, love your videos from Greece. Why, hello, Greece. How are you? Okay, I like every distro except Gentoo for sure. I'd give SUSE a chance maybe, but def never Gentoo. All distros deserve to live though. I don't know. What about that Clear Linux? Chris Titus Tech called me out for that. He said I was too gentle. I think I agree with him. Yeah, I was too gentle on Clear Linux. Grab your torches, guys. Let's go back. Convert prop codecs like MP4. Hey, actually, I do quite a bit in the terminal. I just don't do a ton of videos on it. Oh boy, we are not getting through all the comments, guys. My deepest, sincerest apologies for that. But I have so many comments on this. Thank you guys for coming around, especially if you're new. You know, sub to the channel. What I do on this channel, if you're new here, is I actually teach people how to get real work done with Linux. So we're starting a GNU Cache series right now, how to do business finances, like business books on Linux. People have asked for Blender tutorials. I'm not good enough with Blender. I mean, I know I did that impressive book cover. You guys want to see the final copy of that book cover? I'll show you what that final looks like. But I'm actually not good enough with Blender to do tutorials on it. So of course the book is about holidays, and it's about basically consumerism and holidays. So we have our Christmas tree decorated, and all the Christmas ornaments on the tree are all relics of the other holidays. The ones you actually can't see well, they're on there. You just can't see them well. There's pilgrim hats. So there's pilgrim hats, there's hearts, there's shamrocks, Easter eggs. Of course, you can see the pumpkins pretty well. And then, of course, a big glossy dollar sign behind the tree and a demon topping it. And rendering this fire like this took several hours to get all set up right. And I actually, it's another time I had to buy more font licenses. I prefer to use open source fonts, but there's just times there's not a good open source font out there. So I teach people how to do real things on Linux. So we also have a Nextcloud series going, how to replace all your Google Docs and stuff with Nextcloud, things like that. So, but yeah, I can drag and drop files in the terminal. I did not know that. No. Okay. Control F on the browser, paste in the numbers. All right. More thing. Do you have any knowledge or experience or wisdom on the subject of MU clients? No, I do not. Knows I'm probably looking in the wrong place, the wrong developers. You know who you could ask, though? Ask Chris Titus Tech, because he's done a lot of sysadmin stuff. He would probably know. Windows 10, you can use certutil. Yep, you can do that. I installed Hashtab on my Windows 10 VirtualBox. They're both hardware for my mid-range laptops, but Linux Mint makes those old machines run brand new. Yeah. I prefer pinned to quick launchers. That's because you're young. You grew up with pinned. You were born in... Yeah, what is it? I was born in the dark. You just adopted it, you know. I was born in the quick launchers. I just adopted the pins. I don't like pins. All right. Honestly, don't understand the entire topic. If I don't like something, I don't need to use it. No need to go rant about it. It needs to die. Said about the Linux should die topic. Yeah. Upside of all the Supla is advertising for Linux Mint. Good. I said I liked pinned. Ew, did I say that? Ew, dirty. No. I do not like pinned. I like quick launchers. Yeah, I probably said that wrong. My apologies. MX makes no sense. It's Debian with backports. But does it need to go away? No. People like it. Community devs are dedicated. Yeah, and there's tools that MX Linux brings that aren't in Debian. Yep. Yeah, I got it. I said it wrong. You're a Christian, but you believe in space? That's kind of odd, but okay. I'm a Christian, but I believe in space. Space does exist. It's out there. I've seen it. I used to work in a planetarium, too. Wanting a national desktop is like wanting one world government. Watching the stream on Linux Mint. Very cool. Desktop doesn't mean that other things have to die out. Yes. Sad to YouTubers like DT is fanning the flames by spreading the clickbait. You know, we all spread some clickbait every now and again. Are you afraid that when Linux ever becomes mainstream, Linux is doomed to more viruses, corporations? Not as much, just because as long as the philosophy of Linux, one of the things that makes Linux deeply secure, it's not just the fact that it's obscure, it's how user management is handled. Linux has a user management that is a lot safer than Windows user management, although Windows user management has gotten a lot better in recent years. Yeah, it would mean more viruses, but it also would mean more protections and more eyes looking at it. So I wouldn't be as concerned about that. Uniform National Desktop for Linux is completely optional. Give users the little aggravation as possible while attempting to opt out. Yeah. National Desktop also probably equals 3-letter devs involvement. Yeah. Here, the new NSA FBI desktop tool. No. Put screenshots of Arch i3, NeoFetch IHOP, anime background. Doesn't make anyone a Linux expert. And not every Linux Mint user is a noob. Yeah, it's true. I'm not a Linux noob. I prefer Linux Mint because I don't have time to fix systems every other day. I'm not the world's greatest Linux expert either, though. I'm that ugly. Every time I go in public, people start launching Angry Birds at you. What? The community had a child. I'd want it to be pizza. Uh-oh. Greetings, Global Zone. How's it going there? Power button option, delete all files in Windows so you can install updates successfully. Arch, by the way, and Debian now. I hate Ubuntu. Mint, like Mint, ran Slackware in the 90s. Yeah. Hello, Tech Sport. Have you tried turning it off and on again? Yep. The whole discussion about the Mint article linked in the description. Used Linux Mint for 3 years, so just left it. Don't get me wrong, I still love Linux Mint. A Linux circle jerk. Well, you joined a video talking about a Linux distribution on a Linux channel. What'd you think you were going to get? Hey, I mentioned something about Windows and something about Mac. Probably the same if we're deep in Burn It With Fire. I did that video before, didn't I? Deep in Burn It With Fire. Wireless doesn't work on any other Linux distro other than Mint and Ubuntu. Yeah. Installed Mint, now Wi-Fi is not working. Uh-oh. They still having development. No, some people want to see Linux die, and so they're doing some videos about it. Are there concerns still with Flatpak install? Need an app for a client, can't find anywhere. Flatpak is on Linux Mint, if that's what you're asking. I'm out of ideas. You guys want to try and a seance Steve Jobs again? Sure, why not? Somebody grab the chalk. We need a circle. Okay. He's busy haunting a sweatshop. Know why Mint removed desktop sharing feature? No. I didn't know they had the desktop sharing feature in there. I have to look into it. Mint has been killing it, and I think we can't summon Nikola Tesla. Elon Musk has a copyright out on him. Mint has been killing it, and I think that ruffled the feathers. Yeah, that's right. Linux Mint is doing a very good job repeatedly. Ubuntu wants to get rid of apt and just use Snap. If that happens, they'll make room in the grave. Well, they're not gonna get rid of apt. They said they don't have any plan to do that, but we'll see. The Bible, there are 3 heavens. All right. God made man. Sam Colt made them all equal. There you go. Yeah. Ubuntu still has the exact same bug, hence Harry Hedgehog released. Seriously, I just did an Ubuntu net install yesterday. Had to manually fix the exact same bug. Which bug is it? Puppy Linux must die. What? What is Mint? Saw this unrecommended. Linux Mint. So Linux Mint is a desktop operating system. Here's my Linux Mint build. It is a desktop operating system that has all of the look and the feel of a Windows system, and everything inside of it works out of the box very well. So on install, you get all the basic system utilities that you'll get, zip utilities, disk managers, firewall configurations, backup utilities. You get a very robust settings panel, so you can adjust your themes, fonts, backgrounds, settings, everything. And so there's some people in the world that are calling for the Linux Mint distribution of Linux to disappear, but it's not going to happen. There's just people, Linux elitist people, just hate Linux Mint because it actually does Linux well. That's my only conclusion. And thanks for coming along, Gio. Hope you want to stick around. So we finished our main topic. We're right now just kind of going through the rest of the comments, then we're going to wrap up. But stick around because I think I'll be feeding a kitty soon. If you like kitties, I got the world's cutest, the YouTube's cutest cat at least. Any other contenders out there? Everyone should go to the Linux forums and encourage them to donate $1 or $2. Yep. Hello, Music Story. Howdy, Yones. Really love Linux Mint. Very good. Give you my word. I'll start this challenge. Can you Chrome remote desktop to Linux Mint 19? Remote desktop compatibility per distro could be fantastic. You know, I don't know. I'm not sure about that one. I've never really had much of a need to manage them remotely. Although it's something I'm going to look into. If I have to go and manage my mother's computer one more time, it's getting Windows wiped off of it. I'm going to put Peppermint on the thing, and we're going to be good. What do we think about Clear Linux? I think it should be burnt with fire. A lot of fire. Bad. Meantime, BSD people are watching, smiling silently. Just nod your head. Come on. Sorry, I missed it. STL. Did you say Huawei? Yahweh? Bandware? Huawei. Huawei, the phone company. The phone company Huawei, Chinese phone company, banned United States now as of, I think, last week, 2 weeks ago. Australia, I talked to somebody from Australia last night, said it was banned there. And no, it's Thursday, I think I talked to him. And I think UK is trying to ban it as well. So that's the cell phone company Huawei. BSD people, we have Steam running. Beat this. Oh boy, AMD will make all the distro. Oh boy. Tired today, yeah. Trust a man to go grab a shirt and pull me from falling into a large body of water off a high bridge. Working on Windows 10 at work the other day, and it reminded me of what I despise. I mean, why keep it simple when you can just bury access to utility through multi-layers of crap? Yeah, I'm telling you. So I have to look some of those things up. Oh, boy. Windows is basically trying to be like distro now, yeah. Best Mint edition for an old i5 laptop. Only use it for VLC and YouTube. I mean, if it's i3, I mean, anything would work. Unless it's only like 2 or something gigs of RAM. I'd say it'd probably work just fine. I mean, I have my Dell Inspiron has an i5, and that runs Linux Mint just fine. Clear Linux? Come on, dude. Yeah. War between Mint and harder distros is useless. We all know Hannah Montana Linux is the best. That's right, we do. Cinnamon on Pop started on Mint, but wanted to move more updates. Tried Manjaro, had some things break after updates. Using Pop had been great, will stay. Mint was a great place to start that, yeah. Christians are gentle spirits. Christians are gentle spirits. Supposed to be. Tom and I are working on not blasting everything. I strongly disagree with. Temple OS Mint, everything else. There you go. I'll have to look into Blender 2.8. Picture is so tinfoil hat. Which picture? Oh, my picture, my holiday picture, of course. I made it. No gunpowder barrels? Where's love for Guy Fawkes these days? Come on. All right. What happened with Linux Mint? Kind of miss what's happening here. Yeah, it's just some TechRepublic article wants Linux Mint to die. I don't know. Greetings, Anna Rita. How's it going there? Oh boy, Kitty's coming up. You want to come up? Yeah. You want to come up? All right. Here you go, buddy. Think you'd make it. All right. No, Linux Mint should not go, as they're one of the ones that are doing things right. That's right. They are indeed one of the few ones doing things right. Stream is really popular. Yes, very cool, very cool. MU clients are wonderful. Why the hate? Because Linux Mint gets rid of the requirement to actually tinker under the hood of your Linux distribution because everything works. Okay, I like quick launchers and pinned launchers. Yeah, I don't like pinned launchers. All right, Thomas Holt, your readings. Mint for Experts is like, what? Everything works out of the box and looks good? This sucks. I don't like it. That's right. Weird screen tearing on the old graphics card. Try see if there's an updated driver for it. I think just did a new sysadmin vid. Yep, I think he did. $5 donation helped the Mint guys. Very good. Awesome. Thank you. Always appreciate that. Tools for sure. Korean Linux is not good because Korean letter is not alphabet. Chinese, Japanese, Korean. I believe that there is language support for that. If Farron is still on, he'd be able to tell you. For Mint because I want a system that is stable. Yep. Happening to Linux Mint? Nothing. Besides TeamViewer or remote desktop, are there any other secure ways to connect to a Windows machine when necessary? Don't know. Greetings, Loopy. How's it going? Kernel 5.0 rocks. My wireless card. Not here. What's this? Who wants to get rid of Linux Mint? Oh, you know, just some people at TechRepublic doing videos calling for Linux Mint to die, and then some other YouTubers jumping on and calling for it to die and all this kind of stuff, which it's not going to. God tried to fit way too many pounds of crap in his bucket, and it's far too small. Blew a hole 9-inch diameter. Okay, I can't find all those people understand what Linux Mint is doing, that they only thinking of themselves. So what is Linux Mint doing? And educate us. Greetings, Ben. How's it going there? Maybe this article is representing the community attempting to Linuxgate before more people jump ship into Linux. Maybe. I don't know. My apologies, guys. I'm not going to get to all your comments. My comment feed keeps jumping around. There's too many of them to get to them all. Yeah, Mint should not die. That's right. So if you did miss the main part of the show, I will have an edited version up before too long here. Why Mint doesn't support other desktops like Plasma, GNOME, or Budgie? It has to do with Mint's main philosophy is to be simple and elegant, and the other desktop environments get rid of the ability to streamline everything down exactly the way they want. You can install them. I actually have videos about how to install all those different desktops. I have videos actually about how to install all those desktops on Linux Mint. And so you can still do it. It's just it doesn't have the streamlined approach that they wanted, and so they dropped them to focus on keeping Linux Mint great for what it's for. As a Christian, what's your opinion of LGBTQ people? other people are just fine. If you call yourself a Christian and say that that's okay, then I'm going to encourage you to read your Bible, because that's not what the scripture teaches. People themselves, I don't care. Hey, if you live your life the way you want to live your life, that's fine. Just don't call yourself a Christian. Thank you, Babuntu, for that super chat. I appreciate that, my friend. Great for gaming now. Fred Phelps, Tom will likely say this chat is in place for that particular question. Yeah, you can ask in more detail on my other one, but other channel. I do stream on my Christian channel 9 o'clock on Thursdays, Eastern time, so you can jump over there. Thank you, Babuntu, again for that super chat. Have I seen the videos posted by Joe and DistroTube? Yes, I have. All right, we are going to go ahead and feed the kitty, and then we're going to wrap this guy up. Oh boy, kitty. Oh boy, kitty. Don't drool on my mouth with that again. Come on. And let's go to the other camera now. Oh, I missed the other camera. That was bad of me. There we are. There's the other camera. Is finger licking good? Their finger licking good. Their finger licking good. Okay. Mike Platt, thanks for stopping by. See you later. All right. Let's see. Study the world, religions, observe the world around you, make your choice or no choice, and take your chances. Yep. All right. Okay, guys, we are going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thanks for coming along. If you are new here, you can go ahead and let's see. Do I have my? I don't have those over here. You can sub to the channel. I also have some social media links that will all be linked in the description of this video. So if you want to follow along to get updates when I'm doing videos, you can go ahead and follow along over there. And thanks for watching, everybody. And I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.